a podcast episode, The Catcher in the Rye, the world of Holden Caulfield. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today we're diving into one of the most iconic and controversial novels of the 20th century, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. It's a book people either absolutely love or can't quite understand, but no matter what, it's impossible to ignore the impact it's had on modern literature. The beginning. Meet Holden Caulfield. Our story is told by a 16-year-old boy named Holden Caulfield, one of the most unforgettable narrators in American fiction. When the book opens, Holden has just been expelled from his prep school, Pensy Prep. He's failed most of his classes and doesn't seem to care much about anything anymore. But behind his sarcasm and anger, there's a deep sadness, a kind of loneliness that feels heavier than his age. Instead of going home and facing his parents, Holden decides to run off to New York City for a few days. And that's where the real story begins. Not an adventure, exactly, but a journey through confusion, isolation, and longing. Lost in New York. In New York, Holden drifts from one place to another. Hotels, bars, the park, old hangouts. He meets people, but every conversation leaves him more frustrated. He calls most people phony, which is his favorite word. Fake, shallow, dishonest. He's disgusted by the adult world, by how people pretend to be something they're not. But at the same time, Holden desperately wants to connect. He wants to talk to someone, to be seen, to be understood. And that's the paradox of his character. He pushes people away because he's afraid of being hurt, but deep down, all he wants is to belong. Phoebe. Innocence and Hope. One of the most powerful parts of the novel is Holden's relationship with his little sister, Phoebe. Phoebe is everything he admires. Honest, curious, full of life. She's still pure, untouched by the fake adult world he despises. When Holden visits her and tells her about his dream of being the catcher in the rye, it's one of the most emotional moments in the book. He says he imagines himself standing in a big field of rye, catching children before they fall off a cliff. The cliff, of course, symbolizes adulthood, the loss of innocence. What Holden really wants is to protect kids from the pain and corruption he sees everywhere around him. The ending. Reflection and uncertainty. By the end of the story, we realize that Holden is telling all of this from a rest home or a mental institution where he's recovering. He's exhausted, physically and emotionally, but his tone has softened. There's a hint that maybe he's starting to heal, starting to understand that growing up doesn't mean losing all goodness or truth. Why this story still matters. The Catcher in the Rye isn't just a story about a rebellious teenager. It's about that universal, painful stage between childhood and adulthood, when you feel lost, misunderstood, and unsure where you fit in. Salinger's writing captures that feeling with honesty and raw emotion. He reminds us that everyone, at some point, has been a little bit like Holden, afraid of the world, but still searching for something real. Closing thoughts. So if you've never read The Catcher in the Rye, or if it's been a while, maybe it's time to revisit it. It's not a book that gives easy answers, but it makes you feel something real. It makes you remember what it's like to be lost, and maybe, just maybe, to start finding yourself again.